It's one of those stories that feels like it came straight out of a movie, and not the feel-good kind. A former rock star turned software engineer just posted a selfie in a private jet cockpit with the caption, "Here we go." And hours later, he was gone. The crash made headlines, and the world mourned the loss of a talented soul. Daniel Williams, best known as the drummer for the Christian metalcore band The Devil Wears Prada, tragically died in a fiery private jet crash early Thursday morning. He was 39. The crash occurred shortly after takeoff, and investigators are still determining the cause. The news has sent shockwaves through the music and engineering communities. Let's walk through what happened, because this is one of those eerie, layered stories that gives you chills. The crash was devastating, with emergency vehicles rushing to the scene and news outlets covering every detail. Headlines screamed the tragedy, and the community was left in shock. It all started late Wednesday night. Williams was boarding a Cessna 550 jet at Teterboro Airport in New Jersey, a hub for celebrities and private jets just outside New York City. He shared an Instagram story as he got on board, joking that he was the co-pilot now. He even took photos at the controls. We still don't know if he was actually flying or just goofing off, but either way, it's haunting in hindsight. Tragically, the jet crashed shortly after takeoff, killing everyone on board. News outlets were quick to report the incident, highlighting the mysterious circumstances surrounding the crash. The story dominated headlines, with many speculating about what went wrong that fateful night. The jet, which had the tail number N666DS, yes, you heard that right, N666 Delta Sierra, took off at 11:15 p.m. Eastern Time. It made a quick stop in Wichita, Kansas to refuel, landing at Colonel James Jabara Airport at 1:49 a.m. Central Time. Then it took off again at 2:36 a.m., en route to its final destination, Montgomery-Gibbs Executive Airport in San Diego, California. Tragically, the jet never made it. It crashed just miles from the airport, killing all on board. The news of the crash sent shockwaves through the community, making headlines nationwide. But the plane never made it. Just before 4 a.m. Pacific Time, the aircraft crashed into a quiet military housing neighborhood in San Diego. The explosion and fire that followed were massive. At least 10 homes were hit or burned by falling debris. Cars on both sides of the street went up in flames. It looked like a war zone. Tragically, the pilot, Dave Shapiro, who was at the controls, also lost his life in the crash. News of the crash spread quickly, with tributes pouring in for the victims. Officials confirmed that both people on board were killed in the crash. Daniel Williams was one of them. The other, music agent Dave Shapiro, who not only owned the plane but was believed to be piloting it. Williams had mentioned flying with Shapiro earlier that night in his social posts, and now both men are gone. The crash made headlines nationwide, with investigators working tirelessly to determine the cause. Early reports suggest mechanical failure, but the investigation is ongoing. Families and fans are left in mourning. The crash also injured at least 8 people, though it's unclear if those injuries were to people on the plane or on the ground. A family of 5 was hospitalized for smoke inhalation. Another person got hurt climbing out a window to escape the flames, and 2 others were treated at the scene. The crash site was chaotic, with emergency services working tirelessly to control the situation. News outlets quickly arrived, broadcasting live updates as the story unfolded. The incident has sparked a debate on aviation safety. Officials held a press conference promising a thorough investigation into the cause of the crash. The National Transportation Safety Board and FAA are investigating the crash, but so far there are way more questions than answers. Was Shapiro really qualified to fly that jet? Reports suggest he had limited experience with this model. Was Williams just taking selfies, or was he somehow in control? Eyewitnesses claim to have seen him near the controls. Why did this plane, one that cost millions and had just been purchased last year, go down in such a catastrophic way? News outlets are buzzing with theories, but the truth remains elusive. And let's not gloss over the tail number again, N666DS. I mean, come on. The guy was a former Christian metalcore drummer flying on a jet labeled 666 and dies in a fireball over San Diego? If that's not nightmare symbolism, I don't know what is. The crash made headlines with news outlets covering the tragic end of Daniel Williams. Emergency responders worked tirelessly at the scene, but there were no survivors. Since the news broke about the tragic crash, tributes have been pouring in across social media. Friends and fans of both Williams and Shapiro have been sharing memories and heartbreak. The crash, which occurred late at night, has left the community in shock. Music producer Ryan Bruce called Williams a super sweet guy and said the community would never forget Shapiro. Music executive Terrence Coughlin said that some of his earliest shows were booked through Dave and that Daniel was always a pleasure to see perform. Other tributes described the tragedy as a huge loss to the music world and beyond. Williams had left the Devil Wears Prada back in 2016 and pivoted into a whole new life, becoming a software engineer and living in San Diego. But he still carried the legacy of his time in the band, and for many fans, his drumming was the soundtrack of their teenage rebellion, worship mosh pits, and warped tour summers. Tragically, his life was cut short in a car crash that shocked the community. The news of his untimely death spread quickly, leaving fans and friends in mourning. And just like that, he's gone. We'll keep an eye out for more updates as investigators dig into the black box, the flight logs, and the full timeline of what went wrong. The crash has made headlines worldwide, with news outlets providing continuous coverage. Families and friends are left to mourn, while the community rallies together in support. But for now, it's a sobering reminder that life comes at you fast, and even private jets can't outrun fate. The crash occurred late at night, with initial reports indicating engine failure. Rest in peace to Daniel Williams and Dave Shapiro, and prayers for the families who now have to pick up the pieces in the aftermath of this horrible tragedy. If you've got thoughts on this story, or memories of seeing the Devil Wears Prada live, drop them in the comments. The tragic crash that took Daniel's life shocked the community and made headlines nationwide. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more deep dive updates, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next one.